everybody! Welcome to Felicitations, my live podcast. I am so excited to be here and introduce a guest who is going to help me personally, but also hopefully you. This is a very good guest stars. I wasn't going to have as many guests this month in August, and yet I couldn't help but run into so many awesome people, including our amazing guest, Chris Hutchins.
Hello.
Chris, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you're going to help all of us play the game better financially with credit cards.
So thanks for having me and welcome. I have a crazy background that is like the jack of all trades, master of none story.
It is very fascinating. I didn't even know a half of it before we started talking. And now I'm like, we're going to have to ask you a little bit more about credit card points. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that might be the only consistent thing. I've gone from, being a consultant, working at different companies. I've been a startup founder a couple times. I've worked at Google as a venture capitalist. I started a personal finance company, and most recently sold that company to a company called Wealthfront, where we help people build wealth through investing. But the common thread through all of it is that I've always been a huge optimizer, whether that's life, travel, money, points, credit cards, everything. And so I've kind of gotten to be well known for the person who amassed like 10 million points and miles and travels the world for free.
Okay, I need to know everything. You're like a min-maxer, right? So your whole thing is to either break the system or play it to its nth degree.
Yes.
Is that how you would describe yourself?
That is how I will now describe myself.
Well, I have to say, I totally admire everything about what you do because I am the opposite of a min-maxer. I'm the kind of person who's all about experience, all about fun and creativity, and who cares about practical things as long as the lights are kind of on. And so I was telling you before that just your resume itself makes me regretful that I didn't meet you a long time ago because I probably would have been a lot smarter because I didn't even really know about compound interest, which is very embarrassing because I do have a math degree, but it's only theoretical math, the math that most people never even touch. That was where, and it's kind of science with their head in the clouds. So I guess that's where I'm coming from. So you are going to educate me and hopefully the audience about all things finance and all things min-maxing in IRL. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's never too late to start, right?
It could be.
Well,
I feel like it might be.
We're not going to talk about your age on the air. That would be rude. But I'm fairly certain by looking at you in IRL that it is not too late.
It's going to be fine. And also, anybody can, you're right. Everybody can start. Even when you're on your grave, you can buy, they won't probably let you buy life insurance at 85, but you can always try, right?
Yeah. The life insurance, low on the list, especially whole life. Whole life, low on, like at the bottom of the list. Term life, higher on the list.
Well, but don't, if you have a kid, you have to get life insurance, right?
So a lot of people, if you meet someone who's selling you life insurance, there's a 99% chance they're selling you a whole life or universal life policy. And if you have one right now, there are ways to get out of it. But term life is like the policy that in most cases is the best economic decision. Now, I'm not saying the other ones are horrible, right? If something terrible were to happen, you'll be very glad you had them. But like the best deal is usually getting a term life policy.
But you have to be younger, right? Because I know older people, if you're an older parent, some of them can't even get it because they either have a pre-existing condition or they're like, you're too old. We're not going to give it to you at any reasonable rate. So like if you're young, you could get like a $20 a month life insurance policy and you're going to save a lot more money later when you actually feel guilty or reproduce and feel like, oh, I need life insurance. Then you're going to pay out the nose and all your other orifices for some life insurance, but you got to do it because you have a kid.
Yeah. Unless you have, millions of dollars, you need life insurance with a kid because they cost money to raise and you want them to live great lives if something were to happen.
Okay. So no whole life. See, these are good
life.
tips. I don't even want to go into, if I ever told you how bad I am the one thing I know I never do, and I think you're going to be proud of me because we're going to talk about credit card points. So the reason I met Chris is that I tweeted something about who could teach me to be a guru about credit card points because a friend of mine who is very good at credit card points, but didn't really have specific information for me, just booked 10 days in the Maldives at in that $38,000 worth of hotel rooms and business class round trip tickets, all on points. And I was like, what? And so I tweeted, who could teach me how to become a guru? And immediately a friend of mine, Alex Albrecht, was like, you have to talk to my friend Chris. And then you got tweeted, like 4 people were like, you got to talk to Chris. You got to talk to Chris. So I'm very excited about you telling me what I'm doing wrong. But as I'm really young and can change this change lanes really fast now, you can tell me what to do.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's. Where do you want to start?
Well, okay, can you just, I don't even know if the audience, please ask questions. This is a live podcast. So anybody listening, you're going to be listening later, so you can't ask a question, but I will be giving the audience the benefit of the questions because not only is Chris a guru at credit cards, but other financial min-maxing, and his podcast, which is All the Hacks podcast.
Yep.
Specializes in hacking the world. So you might want to go listen to his podcast, but if you have specific questions now, please throw them at me. I will throw them at him. But I would just like you to explain very basics, credit card points. What are they? Are they worth it? I was told don't even bother with them because they're not worth it. And I think that person was a fool. Walk me through it, Chris.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been able to travel like your friend to places like not the Maldives, but the Seychelles and Bora Bora and like amazing places without spending money.
Wow.
And so I'm a huge fan, and I've taken trips that I never would have taken for free, effectively. And I think the best way to think about it is to kind of do a quick comparison. So anytime, let's back up even further. So anytime you swipe your credit card, there is a fee that gets charged. And so if anyone out there has a small business, you know that anytime someone pays by credit card, you're paying a fee. If you're paying with cash, you're not. And so credit card companies want to earn those fees. And so they say, we'll give you points if you use your card to encourage you to go around using your card. And in the US, at least, merchants have just accepted that. And so, very rarely, like a gas station, you might pay a premium for using your credit card, paying your taxes. But for almost everything you buy, it's the same price, except the bank's going to give you some free money or points back if you use their card. So, I guess if you want free money, which I'm a big fan of free money.
Yes, it's not bad. I sometimes get free sneakers or free gaming headsets, which I always get 7 a year. That's really my sweet spot. It's not like the upper tier gift, but it's like a lower tier influencer gift. I'm always getting free headphones. So that I could say I'm the queen of. But other than that, yes, free anything is really good. I feel like I missed a lot of opportunities over the years because I don't really understand. Because, for me, I have some basic credit cards that give me points, but I will tell you, embarrassingly, do you know what I use my points for? I buy my mom gift certificates at the end of the year for her birthday gift.
So it's funny. Like I did a podcast, I think episode 2 or 3 was all about credit card points. And I think in that podcast, we were like, well, basically the only thing that that you're doing wrong is if you're using your points for gift cards. So we've got to start changing that.
Oh, no, really?
But we're going forward. We only look forward. We're not looking backwards.
Why are they so bad? Why? Why were they so bad?
Well, the opportunity, depending on where you're using them, and depending on what credit card you have, you might not have an option. But if you earn a point, there are a lot of places where that point could be worth 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent. If you're really maximizing, you might be able to get 10 cents, per point. And gift cards are always like 0.5 cents or 1 cent. They're always at the bottom because the banks know they're so easy. They know that if you're looking at this balance and you're like, do I want to figure out what to do or do I just want to send a gift card to someone? They're preying
You've just
on
revealed.
simplicity.
I'm bottom feeding. I'm bottom feeding with my credit card. Okay.
That's why we're here.
Oh no. Okay. So that I was really worried that you would find out what I've been doing with my credit cards for probably 7 or 8 years. And now you're just going to
But wait, when we come back in 2022 and we have this conversation again, maybe you could take it from a vacation. We're going to get you there.
Okay. You're going to get me there. Okay. All right. So audience, do not use it for gift cards. Okay. Is there anything else you should never use your credit card points for? Or because here's the thing. Once I looked up credit card points, I didn't realize you could transfer them. You can combine them. This is the hack that I am completely naive about, and that's what I need to know. So, okay, but starting, don't do gift cards. Is there anything else that you would say don't do that?
So the biggest rule, even worse than gift cards, is don't use your credit card to earn points if you can't pay it off each month in full.
Okay.
So paying, at best, spending your credit card to earn points might earn you someone posted in the chat, the Amazon Prime card, get 5% back. Most credit cards have 15% interest. So if you can't pay it off, getting 5% back in order to pay 15% in interest is just not a good deal. So all the advice we're going to talk about going forward is only relevant for someone who's paying off their credit cards in full. If you're not, focus on that. Focus on maybe transfer it to a 0% card, get to the point that you've paid it off, and you can pay your credit card off each month. If you're paying it off each month, now we're ready to go.
Okay, Jolie Key, I don't know if you're serious. I always use them to pay the credit card. Is this right or wrong?
Yeah, so a lot of credit card companies will let you use your points to pay off the balance on your card. And if you have a cashback card, this is almost like the easiest way to do it. And most cashback cards, that's kind of how they give you the cash. They don't mail you a check. They just say you earned $100 and you can knock it off your bill. So that's not a horrible way to use points. But once you cross from the land of cashback to the land of earning points, which let you take free trips and all that kind of stuff, you'll kind of understand all of the upside that comes past that. So I like to start off saying, if you're thinking about points, the things that points will do for you are let you travel internationally much less expensive, in business class much less expensive, staying at really high-end luxury hotels much less expensive. If all you want to do is really flexible, I'll fly whenever it's cheap from, LA to Denver once a year, cashback might be perfect for you. And using a card like the Citi Double Cash to get 2% on everything, or the Amazon card to get 5% cash back, that sounds like a great plan. But
so if you're not adventurous and you don't want to sort of reach to the stratosphere to things that you probably wouldn't be able to afford otherwise, so this is for the adventurous spirit, not for the people. Because my brother found out years ago that I was using my airline points to buy domestic flights, and he was like, "What are you doing, you dumb fool? You should be using those only for international because you get a lot better value." So clearly there are a lot of ins and outs of point systems everywhere that I am not privy to. So I'm really hoping that I can level this up right now.
Yeah. So, international is where it's at. If you amass lots of points and you figure out how to play the game and you want to upgrade to business class, which is something I would never pay to do, right? Like I'm not paying to sit in the front of the plane.
No,
but if I'm
I would
using
never
my
do that.
Points, it's just, there's nothing that makes a 12-hour flight overseas more relaxing than someone pouring you champagne and lying in a bed on an airplane. But there's nothing worse than knowing that you had to pay for that.
No, I can't imagine, because then it's just like, it's kind of like, the other day I was thinking, I love food and I consider myself kind of a foodie, but a couple of times I've gone to an expensive restaurant and just looked at my poop afterwards and be like, was that worth it? Was that poop $125 worth?
Probably not.
Probably not, y'all.
Depends who is there.
It's true. If the experience was so wonderful, but it was just a pricey meal, it's got to be like an experience, Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So pay it off. Don't use it for gift certificates or gift cards. Pay it off every month. So you have to have to pay it off every month in order to make this scam work. Not scam, but system work.
Opportunity.
Opportunity work.
Yeah. So let's take an example. Do you want to use an example of a card you're using now, and we can compare how it could be better?
Yes. Okay. So I have a couple. So I told you that I have 3 companies, it's just for various reasons. It's not like I'm fancy. I just had to protect myself. Like there's one for the Guild and one for other productions and then one for my acting. So I use Chase for all of that. I have like the ink thing, which is, I don't know. And then the dumbest one I have is my personal, which I've used for really, really long time. I think it's been probably 10 years of absolute waste. It's a Bank of America Defenders of Wildlife card. So supposedly some of my money goes to Defenders of Wildlife, but I'm not really sure. I just know that cashiers are always like, hey, you got a wolf on your credit card. That's cool. I think this is the problem. That is definitely not optimizing anything.
You got sold on the wolf.
Yeah, exactly. And I have American Express Platinum, but it's a free one, so it's like a fake platinum. So it doesn't give you anything. I don't even think they have this card anymore. I've had it like since college, so it looks fancy, but I don't have to pay a fee and I get nothing in return. It's like literally nothing.
Well, so that's another good rule is if you have a card and you've had it for a really long time and it doesn't have an annual fee, keep it around because it just helps your credit score.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
A big factor in your credit score is the length of history. So if you go close your 20-year card, the new average is the average of all the open cards. So keep your old cards.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
So you should keep your oldest card as long as you don't pay for it because it makes you look better on your credit. Why would they do that? That's so weird.
So think about it from this perspective. If you were going to loan your friend money and you knew that for 20 years that person had not defaulted on any loans they had, you'd be more, you'd trust them more than if you only knew for 2 years. So by keeping this 20-year-old card on your history, banks can say, oh, wow, she's been good for 20 years. We trust her.
But if I take it off my credit, because I was just about to cancel that card.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't.
If it's a really old card, I keep it there. I have this tradition where every year during the holidays, I like take out all my credit cards and I go and spend like $1 here. Or I'll buy something at a store so that I just keep it alive so that it just keeps keeping my credit score high. If you have a card that has an annual fee and maybe in the next, few minutes or hours, you're like, oh, wow, I shouldn't keep that. You can always call. Like Chase is great. You call Chase and you're like, I have this card. It's really expensive, but I don't want to get rid of it because it's helping my credit. Is there a free version? And so I had a United card. And it turns out that there are cards that Chase has that are better for earning United miles than a United card. And so I downgraded my United card to a free United card. And once a year, I put a couple dollars on it and, it just stays there. But yeah, so you don't need to cancel cards if they're free or if you can downgrade them to a free version because they'll just help your credit score.
So how many credit cards should you, assuming that you are paying it all off every month, which is that's the one thing I'm one step above somebody putting money in a mattress because I'm super conservative. I didn't come from a family that had any money whatsoever. So like for me, just having anything in the bank is exciting. And then I'm just adamant about having no debt because there were so many fights in my house about my mom hiding a credit card and not telling my dad. And then suddenly we got all this balance that he found out about because he's working too hard. And it was very stressful for me as a person having to go through that through my life. So for me, I'm just paranoid about debt, but I'm not very good about growth or clearly points. So how many credit cards should I have total? Like how many do you have active?
Well, I don't think what I do is a good barometer for what anyone else should do. But I probably so my wife and I usually open up cards and she knows it. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna open up this card on your account just because we have more cards. So we probably have like 12 or 13.
What?
But I don't think normal people should do that.
Is that like you got like a credit card on like you go in and get the Bloomingdale's card and you get
that's just like Chase.
Okay.
So at Chase, it's probably like 6 or 7 and Amex, it's like 4. And the reason why, which is, now we're way in the weeds, is, I wanted to make sure that I could earn the most. So when I had a business and we were running Facebook ads, there's an Amex card that earns 4 points on Facebook ads. And every other card earns like 1. So I was like, let's get that one. Then I got the grocery card and the Amazon card. And, it was kind of an optimization thing. And when you have a business, you have a lot of expenses, so you can spread it all out on different cards. So I was spending enough for work and reimbursement for travel for work that I ended up, every new card I would open, there was some benefit to it, or it had no fee, or it was like that United card. I have a United card I've had since college. I put like $1 on it a year. So I have it, but I don't use it. But
okay. Wow.
Actively used cards, it's probably like, let's call it 4 or 5.
So, but is that bad? Because I always figured, if I have like $5,000 limit here and a $12,000 limit on this card, and like if I have those, that it's not debt because I'm not running them up. I would never even get close to that ceiling. But it's not bad to have all those credit cards.
Better for your credit score.
What? I always thought you had to have the fewest cards available.
No, so if you go to Credit Karma and you sign up, they'll show you your score. Another factor, right? Let's say you had 10 cards with a $10,000 limit, right?
Yeah.
And you regularly spend $5,000 a month. So now the banks are like, wow, we've given Felicia $100,000 and she only puts 5,000 on it. No, she's not living on the edge. But if you just had one card with $10,000 and you're spending 5,000, the bank's like, wow, she spends half of the credit available to her.
Oh my gosh, that makes sense now that you say it, but that's completely foreign.
Yeah, so it's like your credit utilization ratio is like how much of your credit are you using? And if you were loaning to a friend and you were like, hey, how much money do you have from all your credit cards? And they're like, well, my credit card is $30,000 and I have $29,900 on it. You're like, I don't know if I need to be loaning money to you because you're clearly like up to your knees in debt right now. But if you have, 10 cards and you only keep a small balance on each, it'll help your credit score also. So now,
the chat is really reeling from this revelation because a lot of people are saying I run my whole business off of one card, and the more of a limit you have, the more of a liability you are. But that's not true.
So look, if you are not at the point where you've managed to pay your bill off each month, and if having access to more credit means you're just going to spend more money, this is not a conversation for you. Tune off.
Okay.
Go play a game and enjoy. But if you are someone who, whether your limit was 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000, you're not going to change your spending behavior. Then, I would say get as many credit cards as economically makes sense. And so for most people, I feel like 2 is a good number. And I've got like a 1-2 punch of like what I think is the best 1-2 combo.
Okay, good. No. This is what I want to soak up. I want to soak it up.
But so I asked Felicia before this, what card you
Yeah,
use.
he did get a little cheaty.
The Bank of America Wildlife Rewards card, which for every $10,000 that you spend, so one of the perks they try to tell you is that the World Wildlife Foundation gets money. Yeah. So they get 0.08% of everything you spend. So it's not
what?
A lot. So
I've probably given him $20 over 10 years.
So, and it earns points for you. So I walked through, I was like, okay, so this card gives you 3% in one category you pick. So let's call it travel, dining, you pick any one. And
I've never picked a category.
And it gives you 2% at grocery stores, but you only get those bonuses of 2 or 3% on the first $2,500 a quarter. So $10,000 a year. And another like sneaky thing that some credit cards have is if you ever use it overseas, they charge you 3% extra for every international purchase. So I did some quick math to bring this story to life, which was, let's say someone spends, and this might be too high, this might be too low, but it's a round number. Let's say that you're spending $50,000 a year, $4,000-ish a month. And let's assume that $10,000 is on travel. So 20% on travel, 20% on groceries, 20% on dining out, and 40% on everything else, right? So I ran that through the Bank of America card. You're spending $50,000, and you're going to get about $700 cash back. It's not nothing, right? You could buy a flight almost anywhere in the U.S. for $700.
Wildlife gets $4.
Well, you got the cool logo. You're telling people about it, but $700. So the combo that I think is a good combo is really based on how people spend money. So if there's a category if you spend all your money at Whole Foods and Amazon, well, 5% on the Amazon card is going to be your best bet. Mm-hmm. And if you spend all of your money on travel, right, there's another combo. The combo I love is for kind of the average kind of millennial, Gen Z, Gen Y, like Gen X. It's traveling, going out to eat, doing kind of a lot of those things.
Definitely, I would say one of my top categories would be. I'm trying to use Amazon less, so I would say eating out is probably my biggest expense, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the combo I love is Chase has a free card called the Freedom Unlimited. They also have a Freedom Flex. They're like pretty similar, but I love the Freedom Unlimited. 0 annual fee. You get 3% on dining, and you get 1.5% on everything else. So this is my this is my base card. And then I personally, and I've seen some people in the comments mention it, I love the Chase Reserve card. It's very similar to the Chase Sapphire Preferred. You get 3x on travel and 1x on everything else.
The Sapphire Preferred looked really good when I was looking at it, but it's like $400 a year.
Yeah, so the preferred this is the other tricky thing banks do, and I don't know why. So preferred, $100. Reserve, $550. And you're like, that's a lot. The first $300 you spend on travel, any travel, an Uber, a flight, a hotel, they just credit you back. So
basically it's only $250.
If you spend $300 a year on travel, it's a $250 card. If you spend zero on travel, you shouldn't get it in the first place because it's a travel card. So
it's a travel card, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that combo, I did the math and I was like, okay, so you're going to get $600 on your travel and dining, $150 on groceries, $300 on your other. Now you have $1,050. That's only $350 more a year than your Bank of America card.
Yeah.
However, there are a couple other kind of great things that really boost it up. So if you order your groceries online, or in the first year, they have a big bonus for groceries, 5% cash back on groceries the first year. Okay, so
that's really good.
That bumps $1,050 up to $1,400. The real kicker is the Chase Reserve takes every point you earn and makes it worth 1.5 cents instead of 1 cent. So all the points you earn on the Freedom or Freedom Unlimited or any of the Ink cards you have, they're now all worth 1.5 cents when you redeem them through their portal. So now your 1,400 is now 2,100. And Chase has built out a travel agency on their website that's basically like a white label kayak.com. So
nice.
If you book all your flights and hotels through there, they give you 10 points per dollar on hotels and 5 on flights. So that could potentially bump you up to like $2,700. And so now you're like, wow, $2,700 versus $700. That's very different
much
trip.
better. That is a lot of money. So, and I haven't even been helping the wolves that much. That's the problem.
By the way, if you now have $2,000 more dollars, you could give more. Like you could give more to the wolves than the $4
I know.
they're getting.
I know. So you're saying, okay, so if you're going to do the Freedom, the Freedom card is what you're recommending for people who for no fees. But what about the expensive card? Is that worth it?
So there's Freedom Unlimited and Freedom Flex. And the subtle difference is one of them gives you 1.5% on everything, and one of them gives you 1% on everything, but 5% on random categories each quarter. I like the 1.5% because it's easy. It's not each quarter I sign up, and this quarter it's home improvement stores. And so 1.5% on everything. It's easy. And to anyone out there saying, oh, well, there's a lot of 2% cashback cards. Don't forget that when you pair these two up, you've got 1.5% back times this kicker of 1.5 times everything. So effectively it's like 2.25% cash back, which is already like a very high cash back. So I'd say Sapphire Preferred, if you don't spend that much on travel, it's a good 2x on travel card. Or Sapphire Reserve, if you're really going to spend, I think you probably have to spend, if I had to guess, like $5,000 or $6,000 on travel a year for it to make sense to pay the extra, $150 annual fee. Not to mention it comes with this thing called Priority Pass, which lets you and
the lounges. Well, that's what I really wanted. I mean, I've been on book tour. Well, it's a strange environment, but I usually fly, once or twice a month, at least for work. And I went on a book tour where I flew 12 times in 1.5 weeks, which was a lot. So I spent a lot of time in airports. So I was kind of thinking, oh, should I get the American Express Platinum or should I get the Chase Sapphire, which they're comparable, they are expensive, but like you said, you do get some amount of money back. So it's like a couple $100 a year if you get, and it seemed like to me, of course, the lounges are better with the Amex, but Platinum, but this Chase actually seemed like it was a little bit better just for overall living.
Yeah. What I say there is, look, I have an Amex and I have a Chase, but the problem is until you're spending enough money or saving for long enough that you're accumulating so many points on every card, it's not that useful to have 20,000 points on one Amex and then 30,000 on Chase. And then you want to book a flight and you're like, well, I don't have enough in any one place.
So you should put your eggs in a brand basket, essentially.
Yeah. I think that the Chase basket is the best starting basket because I think Chase has a great combo of travel and basic spend. I think if the other big thing is like you said earlier, you can transfer all these points, or you can just buy tickets through Chase on whatever flight or hotel you want and get 1.5 cents per point. So it's a great way to ease into travel hacking because you earn all these points. And the most optimal thing to do is go online and create a miles account with United or British Airways and be like, oh, is there a cheap flight with miles? Great. Now I'm going to transfer my Chase points to United, or I'm going to transfer my Chase points to British Airways. And you're going to get way more value.
I don't understand any of that. Okay. So let's say, okay. So theoretically, first of all, let's go back to my wildlife card. So I shouldn't cancel that card because I've had it so long. It is a $95 a year fee for that card.
So I would message Bank of America or call them and say, hey, I've been a customer for a really long time. I've been using this card for a decade. I'd love to keep my card open with you guys. I like Bank of America, but the annual fee, I'd love to find a version of a card that I can have in its place that has no fee and see what they say.
And they could transfer the history of that card to another kind of
I mean, they usually like downgrade or upgrade the card to some other card. And sometimes it's not possible. But, so, when it is, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I should keep that card theoretically.
It will help your credit score to keep it. If they can't give you a no annual fee version, I'm not a fan of paying, $95 a year for a card you're never going to use. But I would try.
Well, now
really
I'm never
hard.
going to use it. The poor wolves. The poor wolves.
Just take $100 and donate it to the wolves every year, and they'll get more than if you did this.
100%. I could never spend enough money to make it worth the wolves' time. Now
No.
I cannot. I was like 6 months ago. I was like, I wonder how much these wolves get. They get zero. They can share one steak. That's it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So talk to me about. Let's see. I'm putting all my eggs in the Chase basket.
Yep.
How do I optimize?
Your business cards are all in the Chase basket. And you can pool points between, like I have Ink cards for business. You can pool between all of them.
Okay.
And when you sign up, so let's take a great example. When you sign up for the Chase Preferred card right now, if that's the path you go, there's 100,000 point sign up bonus. So at the gate, you're going to have 100,000 points. If you can spend, I don't know the exact number, but I'm guessing it's somewhere around $3,000 in 3 months.
Yeah.
And so now you've got 100,000 points. So here's the example I was trying to explain before. If you just go log into Chase's website and you say, I want to book a flight on this airline, this time, this hotel, that 100,000 points will knock $1,500 off your travels.
So that's where I'm getting into, hey, free business class to France or something.
Well, that's where you're getting halfway there. What's crazy is if you take that 100,000 points and you go and transfer it to United or transfer it to British Airways. So I just looked, my wife and I just went to Greece. And wait, I want to talk about this Greece. This is my dream. I want to go to Greece so badly. Where did you go? We went to Santorini, Crete, and Athens 2 weeks ago. And my parents moved into our house and with the help of our au pair, watched our daughter. And it was like our first trip without a child. And it was amazing.
How old's your daughter? How old is she?
She just turned 1.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I was looking, on Air France, it was 57,000 points each way in business class. So
each way, so it'd be 114.
114. Yeah. See,
for each ticket back and forth. So 230. Okay.
For 2 people, right?
For 2 people, you need 230,000 points. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. If you wanted to do business, if you want to do coach, it was probably half that.
I would never fly to Europe. I mean, it would be so hard. It would be hard with the kid. I mean, I actually flew to Poland with my daughter in a business class, but that was before she was 2. And I thought, hey, we'll just sleep. There is a picture. There's a picture of me huddled on the stool of the business class seat while my daughter, who's 1.5, splayed out on the business class seat. And the stewardesses were laughing at me because it was the middle of the night and I'm just like this. And my daughter is in the business class seat splayed out. It was really bad. Anyway, okay, tell me all about Greece. So did you pay for this or not?
No. We didn't pay for the flights. That would be crazy. So it worked out. I want to say the flights, if we had bought them, were like probably around $5,000 each. And
Yes.
so if you wanted to buy a $5,000 flight with those same Chase points, because you had the Chase Reserve and that card allows you to get 1.5 cents per point, you'd need about 300,000 points.
Yeah.
So 300,000 points would buy it for you if you book it with Chase. But if you
Yes.
transferred it to Air France, which is a partner of Chase, you could book it for 114,000. So that's where the difference is that the airlines charge an amount of miles that's fixed. It doesn't matter if the flight's $100,000 or $1,000. They have like a chart that's like flights to Europe, if there is space, is this amount of miles. So that's where the magic happens, is when you transfer the points to the airline. And so, you know, in that last example where I said you'd be earning $2,700 in points a year instead of 700, that's just getting the 1.5 cents. If you could go and optimize this, and for people like yourself who maybe are like, you know what, I want to optimize, but I don't really want to spend a lot of work. There are literally people out there on the internet. I've used a company called FlightFox, where for about $100, and FlightFox is refundable, they'll go out and they'll search all the airlines, figure out how to do it, and then just send you an email that says, log into Chase, transfer these points to here, and book it.
What?
So
Flightfox.com.
yeah, so FlightFox is the site I've used in the past. They turned into a corporate site, but there's still a button that says book a personal trip. And you can go in and you have to sign in and register. You can also search award booking service. And there's tons of people that are just nerds about travel who for $100, $200 will go and find you all the best deals so that you don't have to go and sit and play the game. But on our honeymoon, we made all of our points worth 10 cents. So if you're making $2,700 worth of points at 1.5 cents, you know, we're talking like $10,000 of value a year.
So what did you do? Okay, so you got the flights for free to Santorini and anywhere else you went in Greece.
Yep.
And did you use points for the hotel there?
Yeah, so we used Marriott points to stay at these two resorts. One's called the Blue Palace and one's called Mystique.
Okay, that sounds like stripper names, but it sounds beautiful.
I know.
So did you transfer your points to Marriott to get a better number?
So
of
in this
points?
case, I had Marriott points already. We had considered, so there's a couple Hyatts. So Hyatt's also a Chase partner, and there are a couple Hyatts that are just unbelievable in Santorini that are like 30,000 points a night. This is another great example. So you've got that 100,000 points from signing up for the card.
Yes.
So you could get 3 nights at these hotels. If you use that 100,000 points on the Chase portal, you get $1,500. It's easy, 1.5 cents if you have the reserve.
Don't ever do that. So now I'm okay.
So it's like gift cards, big gap, booking on the portal, great, and then transferring. But booking on the portal is still way better than using your Bank of America card or your cashback card because you're getting value. They're not giving you a half a point per or half a cent per dollar. They're giving you 1.5 cents.
Okay.
But that hotel that was 30,000 points a night was like $1,400 a night. I'm not spending $1,400 a night at a hotel. That's crazy.
That sounds. I don't know who these people are who can do that. I don't know. Yeah.
I met them because they were at they were eating lunch and breakfast at the hotel.
Maybe everybody was points. Maybe the whole thing is just a shell game and everyone is on points.
No, because we met a couple from LA and we were like, we told them we booked it with points and they're like, really? Because we spent a lot of money on this trip.
Wow.
But they were on their honeymoon, so I think maybe.
Okay. So wait, tell me about your honeymoon because it must have been a min-max wonder.
Yeah, so we went to the Seychelles, which is an island I'd never even heard of until we started looking at like craziest far away honeymoon destinations. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was like 120,000 points round trip each person. But the tickets were like $9,000.
Somehow our stream just went down again.
Oh,
that's so weird.
I see live.
Yeah, it says, you know what people are saying? Oh, we're good now. Okay, we're good now. It just started freezing up. Okay. Boys, you were blowing everybody's mind. You're blowing everybody's mind.
Jack Fletcher asked how many points to get the stream back up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no points. Yeah, you'll get 1.5 per second. I don't know, for comment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to Seychelles and you got, of course,
Yeah,
the flight's free.
yeah, the flight's free, the hotel's free. We used Hilton points. Hilton has a hotel on a private island. Stayed there for free. I love staying for free because you don't have to spend any. I mean, it's like
Of
it's one of those things.
course.
It's like the least defendable argument. It's like I love staying for free, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, there's only been a few times when I have spent money on a big trip. I spent money on going to Thailand and now I feel like an absolute fool. But that was like 8 years ago. It was super transformative. It was awesome. But now in retrospect, I could have scammed that thing for a lot better. But other than that, I usually travel. I take jobs overseas or wherever just to be places. So, paying for travel, and especially with a kid, it becomes so hard because you have to sort of triple everything in a sense. So, y'all, if you have any questions, please ask them.
Yeah. Well, we learned. I learned that flying with a lap infant isn't like everyone I know is like, oh, it's so cool because you can fly for free with your kid under 2. When they're under 1, maybe under 9 months, they just fall asleep on you. When they're 1, I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid just wants to run around. I was like, at one point, we just gave the kid the seat, and I just started pacing the plane.
Yep. It's not great. It's not great. I mean, I have to say that the best time was when you basically after 2, I just downgraded to coach everywhere, even if I'm being flown somewhere. I'll just be like, it's just easier for me and my companion to have the baby in the middle, and you just get a row. It just becomes easier to just fly coach. But overseas, that would be horrible because unless you could sleep sitting upright. And that's my problem. If I could hack my sleeping and just be able to sleep sitting up, then this would be a kind of a moot point because then it would be fine to go economy anywhere in the world. Okay, we have some questions.
Okay.
Patrick Gerard says, I currently make around $200 a month in grocery cash back from Ibotta. What is the next level in grocery rebates for me? I feel like there's more money out there. What is Ibotta? What is this? What is grocery rebates?
So Ibotta's an app where you can share, I think you share your receipts and you like get coupons on your phone and you can earn a lot of money cash back on groceries. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
I haven't used it, but I am aware of it because once I had a child, I just started using Amazon Fresh because I can't go to the.
No, I know. It's so much. People don't realize the change. I have so many single friends who are like, God, I'm so bored. I'm like, I hear you so much.
But here, if let's say you spend a lot on groceries, which I guess to get $200 back, you're spending a lot on groceries. So it might make sense to find a card that is optimized for groceries. I know Amex has like a 6% cash back grocery card. So the hack here, and I did this for so long because I had a card that was 5% at office supply stores. And you can do the same thing with this hack works with both. Is I was talking to my wife and I was like, man, we spent a lot of money. We need to go redo the house at Home Depot. I don't have a card that earns me points at home, just like regular, just whatever the basic is. But I have a card that earns a lot of 4 points at a grocery store. So we go to the grocery store and I just bought tons of Home Depot gift cards at the grocery store. I got my grocery store multiplier on my credit card. And then I just went to Home Depot and bought everything with gift cards.
Wow.
So
that is blowing my mind. That is the hack. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so a grocery store card can be super amazing because grocery stores sell gift cards for restaurants, gift cards for airlines, gift card for iTunes. So, and so do office supply stores, funny enough.
So basically, and where do you find these cards that have these specific, bumps? Because
I would just search for grocery store, best credit card groceries, best credit card, whatever. I just happened to have one at office supply stores. I think it was actually one of the Chase Ink cards. And I was like, I never go to an office supply store. I'm always going to order like.
But you can go and get gift cards anywhere.
Well, at the time, I didn't have a grocery store card. So I was buying Whole Foods gift cards at Office Max. So I'm probably the only person that buys their groceries at the office supply store. But
wow. Okay, great. If you play the game perfectly, said Worst Best, if you play the game perfectly, how much will you be saving over a 2% cash back card?
So that's a great question. If you want to travel internationally in business and you're flexible with when you do it, I bet you can probably pretty consistently get 4% cash back. So you're probably leaving 50% on the table.
Wow.
But it's probably not a fair comparison, because if you didn't have those points and you just got cash back, were you ever going to buy the $10,000 business class ticket anyways? So the way I think about it is, I'm probably not saving any more money having a points card than I am a cashback card. I'm just taking these vacations that I would never otherwise take. And so, like, I might go to Denver for the week for a week, but instead I'll go to Greece in business class and stay at a nice hotel. I might also go to Greece, but I'd probably do it in coach, and it would be a much less exciting trip. It really depends on the trip. I think you could probably pretty consistently get about twice as much value, because if you just take a simple math, the Chase Reserve, 3 points on travel, 3 points on dining, they're worth 1.5 cents each. So you're getting 4.5% cash back on travel and dining. So that's a whole lot more than 2%. And so if you spend 100% of your money at office supply or at Home Depot, which I happen to have looked, there's no credit card that like gives a huge bonus on hardware stores, then cashback's probably your best bet, because you're not getting any big kickers. But if you're spending money on travel and dining, those are the big ones, and groceries, there are a lot of cards that you can earn a lot of points for that and start traveling.
So you're saying business wise and personal wise, you should have your eggs in one bank basket. What about, like, there's no advantage to having your checking and savings accounts at the same place at all, right? That's just a separate situation.
None. I don't think it's any easier to pay off your Chase card from Wells Fargo or Chase as it is from, like, I work at Wealthfront. We have an account. You could pay it off with Wealthfront. You could pay, it's, you have your routing number, your account number.
Yeah, you just pay it off. Okay. So this is a completely different thing. We have another question. Mark Howa asks, how much do you need to put on a card per month to make a decent amount of points? So this is a good question, because if you're saying that a business class ticket, so if we're aiming toward fancy, I mean, essentially you're catering to me right now. I'm just trying to save for fancy travel, right? So we're just gonna talk about that specific thing right now. So if you're thinking about, you need to get a business class seat, and it's usually $60K per each way. So it's $120K per. You want to be in the $250 range.
Yep.
Ideally a year. Like you're saying, let's say your aim is to do one nice trip a year with your points. How much do you need to be spending a month and paying off?
So I'll give you two answers. So 250,000 points a year to fly internationally, business, 2 people, if you're flexible, right? If you're the kind of person that's like, I want to go to this country on this day, you're probably not going to get a huge value out of points. If you're someone that's like, I want to go somewhere warm in Europe in the summer, you're going to get a tremendous value. So if you figure you could probably get a couple cards earning anywhere from 1.5 to 3 points per dollar, so let's call it an average of 2 points per dollar, you're looking at this, you're like, I got to spend $100,000. That's a lot to spend in a year. But let's back up, and I'll point out right now, if you sign up for the Chase Preferred card, you get 100,000 points as a sign-up bonus, which you would have otherwise had to spend $30,000. United right now has 2 credit cards, one that earns 70,000 points when you sign up, one that earns 100,000 points when you sign up. The Amex Platinum, which I have, and I rarely ever put any transactions on it, but signed up because I had 125,000 point sign up bonus. So the next level, if you're like, gosh, I want to take this trip every year, it's every year find one card that has a huge sign-up bonus. So I just am waiting. And whenever I see 100,000 point or more sign-up bonus, I'm like, okay, now's a good time to get that card. And I'll usually keep it somewhere around, like, I'll use it a little. Oh, by the way, if you do this, never forget to use it enough to get the bonus. Because you usually have to spend $3,000 in 3 months. So but there are people out there, and there's a whll community on Reddit, r/churning. And the whole game is sign up for credit card, meet the bonus, sign up for another one. There are people that sign up for 12 credit cards a year. I'm not in that game right now, but if you imagine you're signing up for 12 cards a year, earning 50,000 to 100,000 points each time, you could amass 1,000,000 points a year if you wanted to.
Are they canceling those cards? Are they just keeping them open?
Most people are canceling them. And a lot of the credit card companies have you can't get the same card and get the bonus ever again. So if you really like front load this game, you kind of like run out of all the good cards in like a year or two. So I'm more of the camp of like, maybe once a year, I'll see a card. I've never had it before. United came out with the United Quest card this year. 100,000 points on United. That's a little shy of a trip to Europe in business class. Okay, I'll get that card. I'll keep it for a year. Maybe I'll downgrade it at the end to a free United card and keep it open for a couple years. You know, I try to stay good on Chase and Amex's radars and that kind of stuff. And but one time when I was in college, I think Chase came out, or Citibank had, every American Airlines card had a 75,000 point sign up bonus. So I signed up for all three in one day. And I got 225,000 American miles, which was enough to take their, like we said,
several, that's two business class tickets anywhere in the world, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, the reason I did it all three in one day, Watcher 652, does your credit score take a hit if you sign up and with cards? So when you sign up for a card, you take a little hit, a few points. If you want to sign up for two and you do it in one day, sometimes you get lucky and it only counts as one hit. Especially if it's the same bank like Chase or Amex or something. So it does take a hit. And then if you cancel that card, sometimes it can help you, sometimes it can hurt you, depending on how long you've had it.
So how do these churners do it? If they're opening 12 cards a year and they're closing them, that can't be good for their credit score, right?
I mean, if you have a really strong history, sometimes it doesn't matter. Someone asked, what advice do you give to college kids? A piece of advice, and I would say Google this because I'm not 100% sure it still works, but it used to work that if you were an authorized user on someone's card, you would inherit their history on your credit report. So you could be like, hey, mom or dad, can you add me to whatever card you've had the longest? You don't even have to give me the card. Add me as an authorized user. When it comes to the house, cut it up. I don't want the card to go spend your money. I just want it to show up on my credit report so that it gives me a big boost to my credit score so that when I go to apply for that card that has the 100,000 point sign up bonus, I get it. And by the way, when you're in college, if you can sign up for a credit card and get 100,000 points, I was not aspiring to business class. That could be 4 trips.
That could be 4 coach trips. Yeah. I mean, listen, flying domestic coach is not, I don't care about that. It's just when you're flying over like 8 or 9 hours, it becomes, that's just your ideal situation to be able to get that business class. There's another question Clevesmill had. Can you use your credit card to pay for your home mortgage if it's on Chase? Because that would be because the idea is you pay literally everything on your credit card and then you pay it off at the end of the month, right?
So it would be wonderful if I could put my mortgage on Chase. It would be wonderful if I could put my taxes on my credit card.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, almost everything that seems like it would be too good to be true to be able to pay with your credit card is. So the IRS charges, like, in the best case scenario, I think it's like 1.69% or something, which is just not worth it. So I have not found, every now and then, one hack, you're buying a car. Sometimes the car dealer will let you put your down payment on a credit card without charging you a fee.
Ooh.
So if you were going to put $2,000 or $3,000 down to buy a new car, hey, can I put this on my card? I've done that once where they didn't charge a fee. So every now and then there's an opportunity. But most mortgages, rent checks, taxes, all those things, property tax, anytime you're looking to put those on a card, there's usually a little thing that's like, oh, this is the fee you're going to pay.
Yeah, because they're having to pay 3% fee, so might as well just have you pay that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember doing that with my business tax. I'm like, oh, I wanted to put in my credit card and they charge a fee for it.
It's all the impulse purchases where the retailers are like, I would rather get your business than risk you leaving right now because you don't have the money in your checking account.
Yeah.
But like your mortgage, the bank's not urgent to get you to pay the mortgage, because if you don't, they're just going to come take your house.
Yep. Okay, we just have time for maybe one more question. I know a college student who messed up, is in $5,000 in debt right now, unable to pay all of it, and is paying a lot of interest. Any advice for them?
Yeah, I met some guys that started a company called, or actually guys and girls who started a company called Tally, which is an app that helps you pay off your credit cards. And so they help you consolidate in time. I think the website's meettally.com. Again, like I would tell them, never listen to fast forward to 1 hour and 2 minutes, listen to the recommendation to use Tally, and then come back to this in however long it takes to start paying things off. But yeah, I would say Tally is a company I know. I've never used it. I'm not an investor. I can't say anything about it. I just know that they started a business for your friend.
Yeah, just to be able to get a hold of this and not have to pay. Because I will be honest with you, this is how bad I love my mom so much, but this is how bad she basically was like, hey, I got a credit card in college. I turned 18 I was in the middle of college, and I remember an $800 limit, right? And she was like, just go put your books on it. And I'm not kidding. I didn't know you had to pay it off. Yeah. So I ended up paying like $3,000 for a semester of books because my mom never educated me about paying off a credit card. And I didn't understand that if you paid the minimum, it wouldn't go down. Like, this is just, I never had that information. So after that, that's why I'm so paranoid about paying my credit card off, because I ended up graduating college and using a lot of my savings to be like, wait, why is this balance so high? Because I didn't know you needed to do anything but the minimum. So I will tell you that however bad you were raised, you can always learn to do better.
Yes.
Did you learn this from your parents, Chris?
So my dad was definitely a frequent flyer miles guy, and flew a lot for work and collected miles and opened me to that idea. He was not the crazy credit card optimizer. So I think he opened my eyes to, wow, every time I take a flight, I'm earning points. And signed me up for, and by the way, you should do this for your kids if you haven't. All your kids, if you're buying seats, sign them up for a frequent flyer mile account.
I did that for my daughter. For American, I did, because I try to fly one airline, so I'll just accumulate. So I tend to fly almost all American. But yeah, I did that for her, which I'm really proud of because I didn't know.
Yeah, and so here's a great example. You fly a lot of American. Look at, Chase has transfer partners, and you might look and say, oh man, they don't have American. You can't transfer your points to American, so you couldn't buy a flight on American. But you can transfer your points to British Airways and use British Airways points to book American flights.
Oh, so, okay. That's very, very, okay. That's really cool. Okay. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, obviously you have such a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to download your podcast and listen to all the episodes, because it is very clear that these are blind spots that maybe I'm not too old to learn. Can you tell everybody where to find your podcast, the name of it, what your latest episode is on, and where they can follow you personally, Chris?
Yeah, you can check out allthehacks.com, or just search in any Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts for All the Hacks. There's a ton of episodes in there. There's one all about credit cards. And I've gotten so many questions from listeners about how to spend credit card points that I'm going to do a mailbag episode in a couple weeks about that.
Oh, yay.
We did an episode last week about marriage, kids, and money with Andy Hill. There's every episode is tackling a new topic of hack, whether it's how to get a deal on a car, whether it's how to, travel. There's some great travel hacks in episode 1. I'm trying to think of all. There's
I need to listen to all these. Also, I need a new car, so I was just gonna go have a car broker get me one. It's car brokers.
I interviewed the car chick who is a car broker, and she shared a lot of the hacks she uses to help get deals on cars.
Gotta listen to it tomorrow. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. My mom actually listened to that episode and was about to trade in her lease. And the hack that she shared on her episode, my mom made $6,000 the next day. It was like the moment where your mom calls you and she's like, I just listened to your podcast and I saved $6,000. I was like, this is like a Geico ad.
That's amazing.
So, yeah,
okay.
That was fantastic episode. I think that was number 4. We just tackle any and all kinds of hacks. I just interviewed today, and I think it'll come out next week, Kwame Christian, who's the director of the American Negotiation Institute. And so we talked all about negotiating and like all the tactics he uses and teaches people to negotiate.
Oh God, that's my trigger. Like for me, I'm just like I cannot confront somebody to negotiate. I'm the worst. I am
Wait,
like that
do you
is my
feel like it's
greatest
because
weakness.
do you feel like it might be do you consider yourself introverted in those situations?
Oh, 100%. I like pathologically non-confrontational / introverted. So that is yeah.
So here's the kicker, he said, and I'll leave you with this. He said, oftentimes the biggest misconception is people think it's about what you say, and it's all about what you ask people, and that introverts are often better negotiators because he targets letting the other person talk 70 to 80% of the time as his way to win negotiations.
Okay, clearly we all have a lot to learn from your podcast. I will be subscribing and listening, especially to the car one tomorrow. And thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it. Everybody, I'll be right back with a little bit of. I'm going to be playing some zombie shooter games after this
nice.
because credit card debt, rage. Those are good things to let out. Yeah. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Chris. All the hacks. Bye.